let's read our context here. The approach that we're going to feed in here is pretty simple. It's called the homophone rule, right? So for those of you who don't know what homophones are words pronounced the same way, yeah, but differ in meaning, derivation or spelling. So examples of homophones can be sail, right? That's one example. Tail, right? So sail is selling of a particular product. Sail, we're talking about a ship sailing, right? Tale is a story. Tale of a dog, tale of any animal for that matter, right? So these are homophones, right? You can also think of homophones. Blue, right? The color blue. The sky is blue. So and so blue. All the balloons, right? So these are homophones. So it's important for us to kind of identify if there are homophones also, which can help us figure out the context that is not in line with the general theme or idea, right? So let's quickly look at it. A, the 11 principles of effective character or education, blah, blah, blah. Then it says each principle outlines vital aspects of character education. Here again, we can continue to apply our underlying strategy, which is repeat words and phrases, right? Character education, character education, character education, right? This also has education. So that's why, so once we've done the first strategy, which is identifying repeat words and phrases, we have to dig deep and see if all the sentences are giving us the same idea, right? And in this context, we are applying the approach of homophones. And then it says, E also says, this document serves an excellent outline for program planning and can easily be integrated into staff development and self-evaluation. Okay. But if you look at C, it says principle. So the homophone in this context is principle. PLE versus PAL, right? So all the sentences A, B, D and E are referring to some sort of a theory or idea with respect to education, right? A standard to be followed. However, C is talking about, a principal as in a headmaster and what qualities he should possess in order to be able to promote the quality of education. So obviously our answer is option C, which is out of context, right? So you can keep this also in mind. Look for homophones. Now some of you might be confused with another term, which is homonyms, right? Homonyms, just for your knowledge, right? Homonyms on the other hand, they have the same spelling, unlike homophones, right? Homophones have different spelling, different meaning. They sound the same. Homonyms, on the other hand, they have the same spelling and they have the same pronunciation, right? For example, bark, right? Bark of a tree versus a dog barking. Or bat, the creature in the night, bat, and our cricket bat, right? So don't get confused between homophones and homonyms, right? Because homonyms, you know for a fact that they are, different meanings, but they are spelled the same. But what you need to know is, you need to look for homophones, right? They are spelled differently, they sound the same, they're almost the same, right? So I would say sometimes you might even have homonyms, you might also have homophones. Either ways, look out for these. So I would say homophone or homonym rule. So we have 5 sentences. Let's quickly look at our sentences. A little bit of general knowledge can help as always, right? Just like we saw in the earlier question. So A starts off with Io and Europa, the inner 2 of Jupiter's 4 largest moons. Let's quickly identify our repeat words. So I have Jupiter's 4 largest moons, Jupiter's moons, right? And I have these repeated as well. Europa, Io, 4 moons, Europa, right? And then I have Ganymede, Callisto repeated here again, and Ganymede and Callisto repeated here again. So I have these repeat words and phrases. So let's quickly look at it. In fact, I have Ganymede here as well in D, right? Now we need to figure out if it all follows the same sequence or not, right? So let's quickly look at it. So we understand that at least A and B, right? A kind of is establishing the fact A is kind of establishing the fact, right? It has identified all the 4 moons of Jupiter: Io, Europa, Ganymede and Callisto. And then B says thus these 4 moons are somewhat analogous to the planets of the solar system, blah blah blah. Then C says Jupiter's moons are, however, so it kind of goes on to expand a little more characteristics of these moons, right? So how Jupiter's moons are, and then it says Io is ice-free, Europa is a shell of ice, Ganymede and Callisto are both ice-rich. And then I have D saying the character of Rosalind in one of the Shakespeare's plays. So without even having to move on to E, I know that the sentence that is out of context is D, right? Because it's talking about something completely out of context here. Again, E goes on to give additional information about the moons. Yeah? Io is extremely geologically active. Europa seems to be active on a more modest scale. Ganymede has undergone bouts of activity in its geological past. So we can safely say that D is the one that is out of context here, where A, B, C and E all are in one way or the other referring to Jupiter's 4 moons, right? D, on the other hand, is talking about something completely different, character of Rosalind in one of the Shakespeare. So though you have identified the repeat words, just make sure, you see Ganymede is again repeated in D, but it is a character and not referring to Jupiter's moon. So when you read the context, you're able to identify that, right? So make sure, basically, you have been able to identify the sentence that is out of the sequence. So here, the approach I would say is just spotting the sequence with a help of the repeat words and making sure the repeat word is giving us the same idea or the main theme, which is Jupiter's 4 moons.